helped me reach 1,500 subscribers. I walked away without a word. Not because I had nothing to say, but because anything I said would have given her something she didn't deserve anymore. Closure. Explanations. The comfort of knowing she still mattered enough to hurt me. She stood there waiting, arms crossed, face prepared for an argument that never came. I picked up my keys, opened the door, and left. No slam. No drama. Just silence. At the time, silence felt like weakness. A year later, I learned it was power. Back then, everyone thought I was running. Friends told me I should have confronted her. Asked questions. Demanded answers. They didn't understand that I already had them. You don't need proof when the truth changes the way someone looks at you. The night before I left, I saw it in her eyes. Not guilt. Not fear. Relief. Like she was tired of pretending. That look rewired something in me permanently. For weeks after I left, I lived on autopilot. I moved into a small apartment with blank walls and borrowed furniture. I slept on a mattress on the floor and ate whatever didn't require effort. People assume walking away is a single brave decision. It's not. It's hundreds of small, quiet choices you have to keep making every day. Choosing not to text. Choosing not to check. Choosing not to ask mutual friends how she's doing. Every choice felt like tearing off a scab that hadn't healed yet. She tried reaching out at first. Casual messages. Innocent excuses. A question about something I'd left behind. I never responded. Not out of cruelty, but because I knew how quickly one reply turns into a conversation, and how conversations turn into old habits. Silence was the only boundary I trusted myself to keep. Over time, the messages stopped. Her absence grew loud, then faded into background noise. A year passed faster than I expected. My life didn't transform into something impressive. There were no dramatic upgrades. I didn't suddenly become happier. I just became quieter inside. The constant tension in my chest loosened. I started sleeping through the night. I stopped replaying conversations that never happened. The pain didn't disappear. It changed shape. It became something I carried instead of something that carried me. I ran into her by accident. Not in some poetic place. Just a grocery store on a random afternoon. She looked different. Not worse. Just smaller somehow. Less certain. When she saw me, her face did that thing people do when they're surprised but trying not to show it. We exchanged brief words. Polite. Careful. She asked how I'd been. I said fine. It wasn't a lie. It just wasn't the whole truth. Before she left, she said she'd been meaning to talk to me. I nodded and let her go. That was it. Or so I thought. A few weeks later, she found me again. This time it wasn't accidental. She showed up where I worked, waiting outside like she used to. The sight of her hit harder than I expected. Not with longing. With weight. Old memories stacked on top of new reality. She asked if we could talk. I hesitated, then agreed. Not because I owed her anything, but because I wanted to see who I was now when standing in front of her. We walked to a nearby park. Sat on opposite ends of a bench. She talked first. She always did. She told me she'd thought about me a lot. That she hadn't realized what she lost until it was gone. That the silence had been harder than any argument. I listened. Not because I was moved, but because I was curious. Curious how words that once would have shattered me now barely reached my ribs. Then she stopped talking and looked at me. Really looked. That's when she noticed. My hands shaking. My eyes fixed on the ground. A tear slipped before I could stop it. I wasn't crying because of her. I was crying because of the year it took to rebuild myself in pieces. Because strength doesn't erase pain. It just teaches you how to hold it quietly. She panicked when she saw me cry. Reached out, then stopped herself. Asked what was wrong. I almost laughed. How do you explain a year of growth, loss, discipline, and restraint in a single answer? I told her the truth. That walking away saved me. That staying would have destroyed me slowly. That I cried sometimes not because I regretted leaving, but because leaving cost me something I could never get back. The version of myself that trusted easily. She didn't say much after that. There was nothing left to fix. Nothing to negotiate. She finally understood that my silence hadn't been a tactic. It had been a decision. One she couldn't undo with apologies or timing. When we stood to leave, she looked at me like someone looking at a closed door they no longer had the key for. I walked away again. Still without a word. Not because I was empty. But because this time I was full enough to leave tears behind without taking her with me.